So I heard a story about a moth that went to a doctor. So a moth went to the doctor, and the moth sat in front of his physician and said, I'm a mess. The moth said, nobody likes me. I flutter here, I flutter there. The butterflies, everybody loves, oh, it's a butterfly, but nobody likes me. They swing at me, they try to kill me. It's absolutely messing with my mind. I have no self-esteem left. And the doctor said, well, you don't need me. You need a psychologist. Why did you come to me? And he said, well, the light was on. Get it? Stay with me. Come on, give it up, guys. Come on. That's funny stuff. So, in my world, that's funny stuff. Okay, but along that line, I'm going to put 4 words on the big screen, and if any of these 4 words, see if any of these 4 words connect with some experience you've had in the past months. And they all begin with an S. Sad, scared, struggling, or suffering. Now, I'm just curious, how many of you in the past, let's say 12 months, could at least identify at least one of these words with what you were going through? How many would say, I had to, come on, put your hands up. Guys, look around. Look around for a minute. All of us can identify with at least one of those words, maybe more than one. It's been a tough years. So here's where I want to start at this morning. Unless you and I identify the real cause of the pain in our life, and as we continue into the future, unless we identify the real cause of pain in our lives continuing into the future, okay, we will always look in the wrong direction for help and the wrong direction for strength. So right out of the gate this morning, I want to give you the source of all the bad things going on in the world and all the bad things going on in your life. The source is always Satan. Satan. Unfortunately, Satan is real, and he is active in our world, and he is active in our lives right now. And it is so easy to want to blame an institution, or to blame a government, or to blame a different country, or to blame an economy, or whatever, and say, look, this is the real problem, this is the cause of all the evil in our life, and we pursue these things that we believe need changed, and maybe they do. But the Bible teaches at the deepest core of hurting and pain and suffering in our lives is Satan. Last night, Kathy and I, we've got a little fire pit in the backyard, and we threw some logs on it, and we kind of turned the cell phones off, and we went out in the backyard, and we just sat around the campfire, just the two of us, and all the lights were off. The sky was just full of stars last night, and we sat there and just watched the stars and watched the satellites going overhead. You know, astronomers calculate that there are 100 billion stars in our galaxy, okay? And we're just one galaxy among many, many galaxies, and astronomers estimate that there are 1 billion trillion stars in our universe. And I believe it's very intentional that the Apostle John chose stars as a metaphor in Revelation 12 when he said this. Listen to these words in Revelation 12, 1 and 2. A great sign appeared in the heaven, a woman clothed in the sun with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Now, you may remember, if you have studied Revelation, that the dragon is always Satan, the stars are always angels. So John is telling us that when Satan rebelled against God, okay, 1/3 of the angels in heaven rebelled with him, and they're active on our planet. Now don't miss this. It also means that 2/3 of the angels didn't rebel, and I would be willing to bet the farm that you put 2/3 of the angels in heaven and God as their coach against 1/3 of the angels, we win every time. Come on, amen? Amen. Come on. But here's what I see in our American culture. In our Western culture, we have denied the reality of the spiritual and the eternal. Okay. And many will say, look, you may say you believe in God, and I do too, okay? Follow me on this one. 90% of Americans say they believe in God. Only 30% say they believe in Satan. But have you not seen his effects and his evil working in our world? Some of you aren't going to like this, okay? The people who study insects tell us that in a given acre, any given acre around us, there are 50,000 spiders present. Some of you just shivered when I just said that, didn't you? You're like, I came to church to hear this? Yeah. Sorry about it. Yeah. We don't see them. We don't see them. We don't see all those 50,000. That doesn't mean they're not there. Okay? And the spirit world is real. And there is demonic activity in our world. Okay? And if we don't understand that and identify that, we will chase so many other things as the answer or the problem that really is not the problem. Okay? But here's the good news. As followers of Jesus Christ, we serve a God who has told us, I am the great I am. And so for the next few moments, I want to show you how you can defeat this enemy and how you can have a strong faith going forward into your future. And to do this, I want to introduce you to, maybe in kind of a fresh way, 3 young men who stood strong in a hostile world. Let me give you a little background as you're grabbing your Bible or your smartphone and turning to Daniel chapter 1. Okay? There was a king that dominated world activity at one point by the name of Nebuchadnezzar. And King Nebuchadnezzar ruled, he was a superpower, ruled over the entire world out of a country by the name of Babylon. Okay? And he and his army set about dominating the world. And as they marched against, for world domination, they put their sights on a small country and God's people by the name of Judah. And he marches on their army. He wipes out Judah. He takes God's people captive. And after doing it, this is his very first move. Daniel 1, verses 3 to 5. Then the king ordered Ashpenaz, chief of his court officials, to bring into the court service some of the Israelites from the royal family and nobility. Young men without any physical defect, handsome, showing aptitude for every kind of learning, well-informed, quick to understand, and qualified to serve in the king's palace. He was to teach them the language and literature of the Babylonians. The king assigned them a daily amount of food and wine from the king's table. They were to be trained for 3 years, and after that, they were to enter the king's service. Now, imagine with me for a moment, you are a young person in the country of Judah, okay? And again, these were kind of the cream of the crop kind of children or teens, okay, at least in their eyes. So imagine with me for a moment that you are in Judah. It's a safe country. You have all the food you need to eat. You have nice clothing. You have education. You have a close family. But in a minute, in one day, all of that changes. A foreign nation attacks. Your nation is attacked. Your neighborhood is attacked. Most people are killed. Your parents are probably murdered. They ransack your house. They pull you out of your home. They put you in a wagon, and they cart you off to be a slave as a child. You're in a foreign land, in a foreign country, and now you have to learn a new language. You're indoctrinated into foreign ideologies like demonic worship, astrology, witchcraft, okay? And they even change your name to try to erase your past and your heritage. And to add insult to injury, they say to you, okay, when we say bow, you're to bow. When we show you a statue of our king Nebuchadnezzar, you're to bow and you're to worship him. That's exactly what happened to 3 young men by the name of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And what's fascinating to me is that Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego didn't just worship any god. They worshiped a God who identified himself by a very distinct name. The name was Yahweh. Everybody say Yahweh. Yahweh. It's in the Hebrew, it's 4 consonants. YHWH is the symbol for Yahweh. Now, you just did something that the people of their time would not do. They had so much reverence for Yahweh that they didn't even believe that they were worthy to speak his name. When the scribes would scribe and write out the word Yahweh, before they would even write the name Yahweh, they would go through a purification process and make sure their hearts were clear. Okay? And then they would write out the name Yahweh, and then they would burn the quill that they had written the name out with. Okay? And then they would go through a time of reflection and prayer that they had just written the name of the awesome God Yahweh, who created them and made them and sustained them and is eternal. And this word Yahweh, in the Hebrew consonants, again, YHWH, literally means simply this: I am. Historically, biblically, God has revealed himself to the world by saying this: I was, I am, and I always will be. I am the pre-existent one. I am the self-existent one. I am the self-determined one. Okay? So astronomers have learned in our universe that our universe had a definite beginning. We call it the big what? Big Bang. Everybody with me? Okay. No, not at all. Okay. Yeah, so astronomers have learned that our universe had a definite beginning called the Big Bang, and many of them believe it is ending towards a definite ending. It is moving towards a definite ending, okay? Isn't this amazing? The Hebrew followers of God understood this through Scripture and believed that this was literally the hands of God bookending time. Okay? God made time for a temporary solution. He gave us the sun, he gave us the moon. He gave us time for us, not for himself, because he and by himself is eternal. Now, get your mind around this one for a second. If God is eternal, if he is the great I am, he was before time, he's self-sustained during time, and he is existence after time. Follow me on this one. If he bookends all of it together, when we're going through something right now, God is aware of it, but God is also present in the future that is to come. Do you understand what that means? That means we go through it right now and we go, oh my word, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. And God goes, oh, I know exactly how you're going to get through it because I'm the great I am. You say, I have no idea where this is heading. God says, I know exactly where this is heading because I'm already there. And I'm controlling it. So we go through life right now, and we can't hardly see the forest for the trees. We go, oh my word, what are we going to do about? What's God going to do? How's it going to handle? What's the future going to look like? And we ask those questions because we're bound by time. But God says, I'll tell you exactly what it's like because I know it. I'm the great I am. And when you get to the future in your life, I'm already there. I've been waiting on you. Totally in control. And for followers of Jesus Christ, that's hope. That's joy. We live with this reality, yeah, someday this life's going to be over. Someday I'm going to step beyond this world. I'm going to step into eternity. And we all ask the question, what's that going to be like? And God said, well, I answered that question when I introduced myself to you. I'm the great I am. You get into eternity, I'm there waiting on you. I've got it all planned out for you. And John writes to us in Revelation and gives us a picture that it is far greater than anything we ever dreamed. Anything we ever existed. But see, maybe right now you're saying to yourself, but Dave, thank you for that philosophy lesson. Thank you for a little bit of theology lesson there. I get it. That's wonderful. Praise God. I step into the future. God is already there, okay? But what about today? Remember how we started out our time together with those 4 words? What about today and what we're going through right now? So as we wrap up, let me give you 3 truths that I think matter right now as we live for eternity, knowing God is there. The first truth is this: together with God, follow me on this one, this is huge. Together with God, you can determine the future that you desire to have. I want to let you in on a little secret that will change your life. You are in the driver's seat. So many of us didn't get to choose how life started. Okay? We didn't get to choose our parents. We didn't get to choose our family heritage. We didn't get to choose whether they had godly parents or parents who didn't acknowledge God. We didn't get to choose so many things when we started life. But as an adult, we get to choose how our story ends. And I want to ask you that question this morning. How's your story going to end? You're in the driver's seat. You're writing it. How are you going to write your story with God? You see, we live in a culture right now that's huge on playing the blame game. We're living in a culture right now that is just huge in being the victims. And I just want to say to you this morning, guys, here's good news. You don't have to be a victim. You can determine the future that God has for you. So take the pain of the past, take the challenge of today, bring God into the center of your life who is eternal, and say, God, let's plan the future that you have for me. Isn't that awesome, guys? You're not victims. You're in the driver's seat. And you are a child of the King, of the one who says, I am the great I am. Isn't it interesting how whatever culture you're in, okay, culture always tries to mold you. Culture always tries to form you. Culture always tries to make you be what they think you should be, correct? And so culture would say, look, here's the way to go forward, okay? You're a victim. Here's the way to go forward. You're entitled. You may not get it, but what you don't get, depend on us, and we'll give it to you. Culture will always try to say to you, wait a minute, move into our mold. Form yourself into our mold as culture. Then you will fit in. So how's that working for the world, huh? Do you remember back when Moses ran from culture? He ran from the Egyptians. He'd committed murder. He knew the mold didn't fit for him. He was on the run. He hides out in a desert, and he's a sheep herder. And at this point, Bible scholars think he's probably 50 years old, maybe a little older. And so you say, okay, what is a former prince of Egypt doing hiding out in the wilderness? Well, he thinks his life is over. He thinks there's no future. So he goes out and he hides out with the sheep. And while he's hiding out with the sheep, trying to hide from God, by the way, have you ever tried to hide from God? Lots of luck. There's a bush burning. You know the story. There's a bush burning, but it's not consumed. I mean, a shepherd, he saw a lot of bushes burn as lightning strikes and things happen, but this one's not burning up. So he goes over to it. And as he goes over to it, it speaks to him, and it's God himself speaking to him. Talk about being blown out of the water. And first thing he tells him to do is take off your shoes. You're on holy ground, pal. And you know how the bantering goes back and forth, and God tries to send him, and Moses keeps making excuses. And finally, when Moses gives up and gives in, and God says, okay, I'll send Aaron with you. He'll help you out, for heaven's sakes. Moses looks at him and says, who do I say sent me? Come on, God, give me a name so I can put you in a category. Give me a name so I can decide in my simple thinking, really, what is your strengths? What is your limitations? Come on, God, I need to describe you, God. Who sent me? And God said, I'm not going to play your games. I'm not going to play your mind games. You're not going to squeeze me into one of your little molds. I am the great I am. I was before the creation of all things. I am today. I am sustaining you today. And I am the great I am forever. And Moses learned the first lesson that changed his life is God is the God of eternity in the future. Decide today to partner with God, and you determine the future. Okay. So, second thing, chew on this truth for just a few moments, okay? What if you decided today that regardless of the past, regardless of your setting, your situation, your circumstances, what if today you decided, I'm going to put my total trust in God and nobody else, nothing else? That's exactly what Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego do. So they refuse to bow to the idol. They refuse to bow to the statue of Nebuchadnezzar. And so they take him and they threaten him. And they say, look, if you don't bow and worship, again, these are three kind of cream of the crop teens in their eyes that were in the king's court. So there was no ignoring this one. They said, look, if you don't bow, okay, we're gonna kill you. We're gonna take your life. And these three teens, come on, you know the story. These three teens refused to bow to the idol of a godless culture. And there was this courage inside of them, and they had the audacity to say these words in Daniel 3:17 and 18. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us. Get this, even if we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us, and he will deliver us from your majesty's hand. But even if he doesn't, remember that phrase. We want you to know, your majesty, that we will not serve your God or worship at the image of gold that you have set up. Okay, so follow me on this one. I'm going to give you two words that will change your life because they've changed my life. Okay, I'm going to give you two words that even after the terrible things these three teens have been through, somehow they mustered the courage to say these two words, even if. Say that after me, even if. Listen, those two words will change your life, even if your life hasn't worked out as it planned, even if you didn't get the job you wanted, even if your spouse and yourself have difficult times and ups and downs and disappointments in life and in marriage, even if your loved one dies prematurely, even if, will you trust Yahweh? That's the question of our life. And come on, let's get real for a few moments. It's easy to say, even if I will trust God, when there's clear divine intervention. How many have been there? Come on, I mean, God steps in, God moves, God works in miraculous ways, and we share a testimony, and we talk to our friends about it, and we go, man, I'll tell you, I am so glad I trusted God. But what about when there's clear non-intervention, and you're walking by pure faith? Will you say with confidence, I'll still trust him? If you do, and you say, even if I'm walking purely by faith here, everything changes. Your faith goes active. Your testimony exponentially has this increased effectiveness on the world. Your courage rises up because you say, you know what, I'm no longer playing defensive in this difficult world, this hostile world. I'm not playing defensive anymore. I'm playing offense, and here's my offense. Even if this world goes crazy, I'm putting my trust in God. Even if. And God will not disappoint. Look at the result for these three boys. Daniel 3, brief down with me to verses 19 to 25. Look at this result. Then Nebuchadnezzar was furious with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and his attitude towards them changed. He ordered the furnace heated 7 times hotter than usual, 20, and commanded some of the strongest soldiers in his army to tie up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and throw them into the blazing furnace. Verse 21, so these men, wearing their robes, trousers, turbans, and other clothes, were bound and thrown into the blazing furnace. The king's command was so urgent, and the furnace was so hot that the flames of the fire killed the soldiers who took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, firmly tied, fell into the blazing furnace. Archaeologists believe it was probably a large pit furnace that they used to fire pottery. Okay? Then King Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet in amazement and asked his soldiers, weren't there 3 men we tied up and threw into the fire? They replied, certainly, your majesty. He said, look, I see 4 men walking around the fire, unbound and unharmed, and the 4th looks like the son of the gods. You bet. You know, I wonder, this is just Dave Coleman, so don't email me about this. It's just Dave Coleman dreaming, okay? But I wonder if when we get to heaven, if there'll be a museum. That, like, we'll walk through a moment of celebration and applause, and we'll be reunited with our loved ones. And, you know, I tell people jokingly, but pretty serious, look, we get to heaven and I start greeting my family, don't bug me for a couple, 3,000 years, okay? We're just going to be hugging. Okay? But there's a moment we settle into heaven, and I wonder, okay, again, this is just me. This is just crazy me thinking. But I wonder if we're going to walk into a courtyard, and I wonder if there could possibly be a museum in heaven. Huh? Like we walk over to one area, and there's behind glass, there's a small hammer that Noah used to build the ark. Okay, and beside it, there's another case. There's a sling that David used to slay Goliath. Okay, and in the center courtyard, there's a Honda Accord because the disciples were all in one accord, the word says. You get it? You with me? You with me? That's funny stuff. Okay. Sorry, my family's dying up here on the front row. I'm so sorry. You have to put up with me. Okay. And then another one, there's Jesus' sandals that he wore as he walked on the water. Okay. And wouldn't it be cool if you walk to the back of the museum and there's this big wall of glass, and behind the glass, there's 3 garments underneath with this description. They saw that the fire had not harmed their bodies, nor was the hair of their heads singed. Their robes were not scorched, and there was no smell of fire on them. Wouldn't that be cool? Guys, I know that I tell this story, and we talk about this. We teach this story from Sunday school on up. I know when I share this story, it sounds outlandish. But guys, these biblical stories are real because Yahweh is real. And God is working in our world, in our lives today, just as dramatic as he did then. God is still God. And there are miraculous things happening all around our world. The question is, are we going to let Yahweh be Yahweh in our lives, in our church? Let me give you one last thought that I want to send you out of here with, that I pray it just encourages you today. And here's the thought. It's 4 words. A good father equals a good future. I mean, if we had Q&A time right now, and we all talked about the junk going on in the world, and come on, you know the common themes that would pop up. Okay? And you were to say to me, Dave, what gives you the authority to stand on that platform on Sunday morning and say we have a good future before us? My answer would be this: because we have a good, heavenly, eternal Father. God understands your past. He has wept with you in your pain. He's present in your struggles today, and He has promised never to leave you, never to bail on you. And He is totally in control with total love and grace. That's what makes Him a good Heavenly Father. And this is what He has promised in Revelation 7:17. He has said this, and God will wipe every tear from your eyes. Isn't that neat? So even if I get it, I understand it, God's going to wipe away the tears. Even if I don't get it. I mean, my brain is numb trying to figure out what's going on in this world and where it's heading. Even if we can't comprehend it, even if we're just walking by pure faith, God says, here's my promise. I'm the great I am. When you step into eternity, I'm going to make it right. And there's not going to be any tears. You're not going to have to worry. Heaven awaits. Stand with me, would you please? Let's pray. Heavenly Father, God, thank you for being the great I am in our life. Thank you, God, thank you for your faithfulness in the past. Even when we were godless, even when we rebelled against you, God, you were gracious. You loved us and you wooed us and you drew us and you forgave us. And Lord, you have called us in this world that is broken to be your light and to be your witness. And as we go through and experience the brokenness of this world and the effects of the evil one on culture and our lives, Lord, we want to say today, even if we understand, even if we don't understand, our faith is in you, God. Use us. And Father, thank you for the future we have because you are the great I am. You are God. You are in control. And our trust is in you. May it all be to the glory of Jesus, whom we love and whom we serve.